Okay, so Plains, if you blink, you're gonna miss it. 600 people, 7 churches.
The thing about Plains, Georgia, is even if you arrived not realizing who the favorite son is, 30 seconds in, you'd know.
Right over there by the train tracks, that was the campaign headquarters. Everything Jimmy Carter, everything.
This is where Jimmy Carter was born, raised, spent most of his life, and died at the remarkable age of 100.
Mr. President, on behalf of the entire Biden family and the American people, happy 100th birthday.
Happy birthday.
To my fellow President Jimmy Carter, happy 100th birthday.
Have a happy birthday, Fred.
When the former president announced in 2015 that cancer had spread to his brain, locals dotted lawns with campaign-style placards. Jimmy Carter for Cancer Survivor. The lawns and windows are different now. Thank you, they read. What exactly are they grateful for? Why is that gratitude likely to linger? Well, come meet someone.
At the intersection of Rosalind Carter Trail and Jimmy Carter Industrial Parkway, if you turn left here, this is how you get to the home of a very dear friend of theirs.
The Carters.
This is Jill Stuckey. And this is Jill Stuckey. And this is Jill Stuckey, a friend of the Carters for decades, who in the last months was almost a daily visitor, bringing food and love.
We're always thinking about ways that they could help other people. And, you know, they've always been there for me.
Jill was also the one to carry out a special request made a while back when Carter first realized he was sick.
They were going to have to...
She was to find the 25 neediest homes in the Plains area.
He called me up to his house one day and said, I want to eradicate substandard housing in Plains. We're going to be here, so this is now going to be our focus. So he said, I want you to find the houses, and I'll do everything else.
So once you identified the houses, and he said, I wanted to help, what did that look like?
So he made calls to a friend in Michigan, so they sent all the HVAC systems. Another friend of his knew somebody who did roofing projects, so they came in and put on 17 brand new roofs. Things move pretty fast.
They modeled a way of living for Jill and others here that is more than their commitment to the community. It was also their commitment to each other.
I would get to be at the Carter's house the last year or so, and Rosalind would usually get up a little bit later than President Carter, and she would come out, and President Carter would be sitting in his recliner, and she would navigate her walker over and bend down and give him a passionate kiss. After 77 years of marriage, that love, I think, was even stronger than day one. It's just amazing.
You're going to hang on to that?
Always.
It's like the hand holding. Eh?
Oh yeah, and then she would sit down on the sofa beside him, and he would reach his hand out, and she would put hers on top, and they would sit there and watch TV and talk. So this is where Jimmy and Rosalind attended grades 1 through 11 because...
Maybe you're looking at Jill and wondering, why the uniform? Well, this too is about the Carters.
And here's a typical classroom.
She's the superintendent of the Jimmy Carter National Historical Park.
And you notice there's no lights in here because there wasn't electricity.
Offering a glimpse here at the little Plains school both the former president and First Lady Rosalind went to from their earliest days.
They've really set Plains up to be okay without them.
They have. Now, we're on our own, and we'll figure it out.
They will. We'll continue telling the stories of a simple place that bore witness to history and has managed to always be a draw.
So this is the church where Jimmy Carter taught Sunday school long after his presidency.
Forgiveness, compassion, the alleviation of suffering.
This was 2015. We came to watch a phenomenon.
Each of us has a responsibility
Maranatha Baptist regular congregation was about 35 people, but just look at all those packed pews. There were people from all over the world who'd come just to hear the former president and just maybe to witness a moment. Maybe a moment like this one.
I think I got the wrong one. I'm sure Romans 6:23. Ma'am? Rosalind? Rosalind? Rosalind, let me teach the lesson. I know it's on the back. I was going to tell them that later on. That's Ephesians 2:8 and 9. And I'm not being short with my wife, but I was going to get to that point later on. I was going to point out to you.
Do you remember, I mean, is this a kind of a classic moment between the two of them?
100%. So look, I mean, they shared jokes, they fussed at each other, they, you know, and she was, of course, right, I'm sure, when she was trying to correct him, and he, of course, was bristled a little bit at being corrected, just like every relationship that you've ever seen. So this is the executive offices of the Carter Center.
Can you see it in his eyes or hear it in his voice? This is Jason Carter, Jimmy Carter's grandson.
That's me as a baby and the rest of our family, but not a baby, but a toddler.
He's had a front row seat to so much.
This is the duties of the President of the United States of America.
So is that like a manual?
It's what this is, actually. This is all of the different statutes that require the President to do something. He was President of the United States for a little while, and he was Jimmy Carter, you know, the human, the grandfather, the head of the Carter Center, the farmer, for a lot longer.
Did you know, for example, that as a young man he helped save Canada from nuclear disaster, the world's first nuclear accident in Chalk River, Ontario? It was 1952.
He was in the U.S. Navy and was part of the very first nuclear engineering group that was working with nuclear reactors.
When the accident happened, there weren't that many experts around the world, but Carter was one of them and was dispatched immediately.
My grandfather was a part of a very small team that secretly showed up and were entering this reactor and participating in this very detailed, very high-stress process. He and his team, you know, mapped out the inside of the reactor, outside, practiced precisely what they were going to do. I mean, it sounds like it's from a Tom Cruise movie. And then once they got it right, they would run into the significant radiation exposure, perform their 1 minute worth of functions, and then run back out.
It worked, and the family joke has sometimes been maybe Jimmy Carter was bitten by a radioactive spider, just like Spider-Man. Maybe that explains his long life and drive.
You gonna be okay without him?
There's so many ways that the Carter Center and the family and so many others have prepared for the end of his life. And I thought I was prepared, but the regular human grief has been surprisingly hard for me.
That regular human grief, that Plains understands. Some things here won't change. It remains, as they say here, a place so flat, water doesn't know which way to run. And it will remain a place infused with the Carter way. He's made sure of that. Decided some time ago that he would be buried under a willow tree with his beloved Rosalind at his Plains home. Not at his library, like most presidents, not in Washington. He knows it might mean more people come to see this tiny rural town. One last gift from the man who made Plains to the place that made him.